Aloha, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome. Oh my goodness, the chat is going off already. So I saw Neem come in. Hi, Neem. Hi, Jessie Driscoll and Betsy and Nancy Throne's Intuition. Oh, Hen, lovely Hen, welcome. And I think that it says there's 9 people here, but those are the only ones chatting. So if I didn't see your name, hello.
Hi, everyone.
And welcome, Stephanie Burrows. Thank you so much for coming.
I'm very excited. Very excited. It's my first live, and I'm really nervous, but I'm excited. I think more excitement than anything. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I'm no longer elusive.
It's always nerve-wracking. Even me, I've been doing it for a while. I still get a little nervous at the start. So.
And my dog is out of the bedroom. I'm in the bedroom right now, and the dog's been locked out, and he's at the door wanting to come in. So if you hear little barks, that's him.
Well, and I have my cat trying to climb through here again. What are you doing? What are you doing? No, do not unplug me. Now she's hiding under the table where my desk, where my computer is. Oh my gosh.
Hi, Jessie. You hear me now.
Right?
Yeah.
We're just chatting with each other.
Aw, it's very
Wellness Witch popped in.
Being on the other side of the camera. I'm so used to being the one chatting,
right.
To the chat room. So
I see Dion Blue Crescent popped in and Wellness Witch. I think that's the first time you've been on my channel, so welcome. So today we're talking about Oak, Ash, and Thorn. I backed the Kickstarter, and such a lovely, lovely deck.
Aww.
And you have, I know people are still like, oh, we can't get it, but you have a different version in your store, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, so I did the Kickstarter, and I sold out rather quickly. I mean, I did all of my Kickstarter orders, and then about a week after the Kickstarter ended, I did pre-orders, and because I knew that from the Kickstarter I could order so many decks, so I opened up pre-orders for that same deck about a week after it ended, and then they sold out in a few months, and I went ahead and did a reprint. So the reprint, I changed the box slightly because I found, I think going into a Kickstarter, you really have no idea. I've never created a deck before, so the box design was so tricky, and it was a bit difficult to open. So I just I changed up the box a bit, so there's no locking notches, so it's just open, which I like, and it has a glued base, which makes it so your cards aren't.
And this one doesn't.
Yeah, so when you put the cards back in the box, you have to be so careful, even though I left a bit of wiggle room in there, a bit of extra space.
Which I love. Thank you for that.
Yeah, but I kind of
love how
yeah.
The back here folds out just enough you could fit a finger in to grab.
Yes. And I wanted it to be where the cards were easy to slide in and out. And I kind of took inspiration from one of my favorite tarot decks, which is called the Tarot of Musterberg, which actually I brought everything with me just in case. But the Tarot of Musterberg, they have locking notches at the top of their lid, but it's a glued base, and it just feels a bit more solid. So I just tried to improve on that. So what I have in my store right now is the reprints, which are volume 1.1, which essentially means volume 1, the first reprint of the deck. So, and now I'm going to a second reprint.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, so Three Trees Tarot, Oak, Ash, and Thorn is only volume 1. We have more ahead of us, don't we?
Yes. So the Dragon deck will be volume 2, and then if it goes into a reprint again, it'll be volume 2.1.
2.1.
Yes.
And you're not doing the Kickstarter for Smoke, Ash, and Embers, are you? You're going to do pre-orders only? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So Kickstarter was really great, but I decided that regardless, I'll print Smoke, Ash, and Embers either way. But the pre-orders helps me gauge the amount of numbers that I need, the number of decks that I need to print. Mm-hmm. Also, it kind of avoids some of those hefty Kickstarter fees that I pay on my end. So The
Oh,
goal,
right.
yeah. So the goal in that is to do the pre-orders, and I'll do them for longer than 30 days. But what I want to do is I want to do a full 30-day run of pre-orders and do like a special early bird pricing all month long for that. So if someone is waiting to get paid from work, they're not missing out on that. I don't want people to feel pressured to buy the deck straight away. They have all month long to order it, but I'm just not sure when it will be ready. We have about half of the illustration work done for the dragon deck, and it's
Okay.
so pretty.
I've seen a few little teasers you've let leak, and I can't wait.
It's killing me because I want to share every single image that Adam shares with me, but I don't. I mean, I would, but I don't want people to get tired of it, and
You want to keep it fresh.
I want to keep it fresh, definitely.
Right.
But it's looking so good, and Adam's doing such a wonderful job. I would expect him, of course, to do such a wonderful job. His artwork is absolutely
His artwork is amazing, for sure.
Yeah, and he's just such a nice person in general that it's easy to work with him. I mean, hold on one second. When we were illustrating Oak, Ash, and Thorn, I did most of my communication with Adam all through Facebook Messenger for probably the first 3 months. We never talked. It was all Facebook Messenger. And then we finally called each other, and it's like the call was quite long because it feels like you're just catching up with an old friend, because I felt like I really, really knew him. So he's just absolutely, his artwork is just beautiful, amazing, and I'm really honored that he's working with me on the decks. So
we had a question. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, Christina would like to know where we can pre-order the Smoke, Ash, and Embers.
Oh, right. So it's not done yet, but I have my Instagram, and if you go to my website, there's a sign-up list, email sign-up specific to the Dragon deck. So I'll just be keeping everyone posted and in the loop about that. And when it's ready I'll definitely let people know a few weeks ahead of time when it's going to go to pre-order.
Go live.
Yeah, I wish I knew. I wish I could just like release it on the world tomorrow, but yeah.
Aloha, Jamie. Hey, Kiana, what are you doing? Move along. Oh my God, that cat. She's being very catty. One of the things that I have to say I really appreciate about your deck, especially for like showing people who might not necessarily know how to read yet, is these little cheat cards that you have in here. Yes. These are so wonderful. And I just, and everyone I've showed these to is just, they're like, oh my God, that's another reason why we love this deck so much. So pretty amazing. And I have to say that the possibilities card, let's see if I can even find it now. I shuffled into the deck as something to pull for people. Oh my God, where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so the possibilities, which was a little teaser.
Yeah.
One. I actually use it in the deck as an extra card. So I don't know if that's what you intended it for, but that's what I've been using it for.
Well, when we included it in the deck, I that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a teaser for the next deck, and I thought possibilities, because it felt like at the time, look what's possible, look what we can do for the next deck. And I was really quite surprised that so many people chose to keep it in the deck rather than keep it aside and not use it. Just because it's the only card that has a dragon, I'm like, are people going to understand it? Like, you can talk so much about the deck and why cards are in there, but some people are going to miss those things. But I really appreciate that people keep it in the deck, and I think it just kind of adds another element of, whimsical to that Oak, Ash, and Thorn. And the idea with the dragons is kind of like there have been dragons hiding in Oak, Ash, and Thorn all along, and they're just now coming out of the coming out of their little rocks.
Now the woodwork, so to speak.
Yeah, and now they're like a part of the next deck. So it's gonna feel very the next deck will feel very much like Oak, Ash, and Thorn, but it will still have an identity of its own.
Right.
And I love with the dragons, I found that the most complicated, the most difficult suit to write was the element of was the wand suit with the dragons, because it's a very elemental deck. So your cups are very water based in this next deck. Your pentacles are very earthy. But I thought, how am I supposed to, like, it's a forest and fire breathing dragons. Like, I don't, if you think of the world of the dragons, you think, well, if they're breathing their little fiery flames, they're going to set the forest on fire. And I wanted it to kind of expand on that idea. So there's a lot of, like, the dragons are red. There's a lot of smoke and fog. And so it's just coming together really, really nicely. And the little cups dragons are these little frog-like creatures. So they're little frog-like dragons. They have little webbed feet. They're so cute. So they're going to work really well together, but the decks will definitely have their own personalities. So we'll plan on doing a little letter with the next deck, but it'll be written by the dragons, and they have their own little way of doing it.
Right. I love that you're making them elemental dragons. That's just so cool.
Yeah, so like your pentacles dragons, because they're very earthy, you have a lot of scales made of leaves. Their scales are like these.
Wow.
It's just really, really beautiful. And there's been some cards where, like, there's always those few cards that I struggle to write. I'm like, Adam, what do you think of this? Like, you have any good ideas with this? And he always throws out ideas too. So it's definitely a joint venture with him, which is good.
So for those, this was kind of the little thing between you and me. You sent me the PDF early so I could read through it, and you were missing the star entry. And when I asked about it, you said, well, the entry had nothing to do with the card that actually came out. So this is the card, right?
Yes.
What was it originally supposed to look like?
So let me pull out my notes. Where are you, star card?
I love this star card, though. Just the little fishies sticking their heads out of the water.
So originally the star card, it was going to be these, I'll read you the original artwork description. It was going to be, it's a crisp, clear night, and the sky looks like it has been painted in beautiful shades of blue. On the edge of a lake are two water jugs. Both have been knocked over. On each, a magpie perches. They gaze, one of them with outstretched wings, at a large star in the sky. The contents of one jug is flowing back into the river, and the other one is flowing back into the land. But it felt really complicated to me and really literal. Like, I still wanted to kind of keep its own little personality. So with Oak, Ash, and Thorn, you'll notice that some of the cards are very, very close to the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, while some kind of take on this life of its own.
Life, right?
So when I was trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to do with this? I went onto Adam's website and was looking through his past work, and he had this really beautiful image of these fish swimming underwater. And I thought, I don't have any fish in Oak, Ash, and Thorn. And I said to Adam, can you do me these fish gazing up at a star? I think that would be absolutely beautiful. And he did it. And it's amazing because when he draws, like with our
sorry, I'm getting a scam likely call.
So with your Queen of Cups, if you notice, there's the fish swimming underneath the water. It's amazing how he illustrates it where it looks like they're actually swimming in water. I have no idea how he does it, but that's why he's.
I mean, look at that. They look like they're in the water, which is pretty amazing. Oh, and there's a third little fish in the water. I didn't even notice that.
And I'm not even looking at the chat. So hi, everyone. I hope you don't think I'm ignoring you.
Oh, I'm sure they don't.
No.
Well, welcome, Long Mantro. Who else popped in while I was chatting with you? Oh, Tarostash, I think I missed you. I know I said hello to Jamie. Witch of Cups says, Oak, Ash, and Thorn has stolen my heart. Aw, that's wonderful. Welcome to the channel. I think that's it. Oh, Jesse has a perfect thing here. Oak, Ash, and Thorn is a deck that appeals to everyone, from newbies to seasoned readers. Such a lovely deck.
Aw, thanks, Jesse. I think like I've done lots of different projects in the past. This is my first tarot project. I'm fairly new to the world of tarot, but I've done like art shows and craft shows, and I've made jewelry, and I've done printmaking, and I always kind of create things that I like. And I never really did, you'd go to some of these craft shows, and I'd sit there with all of these beautiful things that I made, and no one would buy. And it was just felt really demoralizing. Like I'd come out of there feeling really bad. And I thought, well, maybe it's because I'm creating things that maybe I just like them. Maybe I think other people like them, but they don't. So I didn't expect to have this response to Oak, Ash, and Thorn. I just thought it would be another one of those things. I was kind of creating this deck for myself. And I thought people are, because it based on past experience, why would they like it? But they, it just has been such a really wonderful experience. And I have this group of people that are just cheering me on along the way and so incredibly supportive. And it just pushes me to work even harder. And it's been really, really lovely.
Awesome. Oh, no one popped in. Hi, Amy. Mystic Rose Tarot.
Hi.
So let's go through a few more cards. So tell me about the Hanged Man.
Oh, he's so cute, isn't he?
Such a cute Hanged Man.
I see the Hanged Man as a different perspective. So like I know in your Rider-Waite-Smith, he's traditionally hanging upside down, but I kind of had to think, well, this is a nature deck, and what would a hanged man be doing in my little forest scene? And I thought a little harvest mouse, and they're so teeny tiny, but like I think of new perspective. It's raining, and it's he's kind of set himself up high. And to be honest, when I looked at the Rider-Waite-Smith deck originally, the halo around his head, I kind of thought of as it gave me imagery of the sun. I don't know why. Like an actual like the brightness of the sun around his head.
Right.
So that's why I chose to do the little dandelion with the yellow. It's almost like his little umbrella protecting the rain, and that's like that air of positivity and brightness that scene needs. But
and the glow around the head.
And the glow around the head. So, and there are some cards where the imagery that are in them, I would look at the traditional card and think, how can I portray this in this nature scene? While some things have symbolism, some other things may not. It's just it worked for the scene of that particular card. But yeah, he's so cute though.
He's so adorable. Hangman's for sure. Oh, Emily just popped in. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
My cat apparently is insisting on making lots of noise today. Oh, what are you gonna do with the cat?
Right. Cats don't care.
So the next card is one that a lot of people ended up buying the deck because of this card. I've heard from multiple people that they had to get the snail in the magpie's head. So there's a great chariot card for sure.
I'm going to bring up not that the original is much, much different, but let me see if I can find my little sketch. Where are you? Trying to keep my papers in order. So that is how he started out.
Yeah, pretty similar.
So one thing that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, and this is one of those cards where I looked at the original and thought, how can I display this in my card? And he has the black and white sphinxes in front of him, and he's underneath I believe he's underneath a starry canopy, I think. So I thought, okay, right. So the magpie, they're they have the colors of the black and white sphinxes, and the blue shell is because the starry blue canopy, and I think it's one of the very few major arcana cards that have the starry sky. because that canopy is starry. But I thought, you know what? This is perfect. A little snail hitching a ride on top of a magpie. That's his getaway. That's how he's going to get to where he wants to go.
I love that. Talk about using your willpower to go without having to like.
And there's if you see a magpie, at least over here, and this is completely my husband's sister's fault. You always salute the magpie. When you see one magpie, you need to salute the magpie because it's bad luck if you don't. And you're supposed to salute the magpie, and I forget how you say it. I forget what you say. You ask about his lady wife, because if you salute him, supposedly there's another magpie, and 2 magpies are supposed to symbolize good luck. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you just see one, you have to ask where the other one is.
Exactly.
Aloha, Justin.
Hi, Justin.
And anyone I might have missed, I said hi to pretty much everyone, I think. If I didn't say hi, I'm sorry. Hello. This one, I've had a few people have issues with, but I think it's probably the most beautiful 10 of Swords I've ever seen. And what a lot of people don't understand is the butterflies are coming out of the sword wounds.
Yes.
And that's an amazing image right there. I know it's a little harsh for some people because you got the bird full of swords, but it's a transformation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think also, and I'm guilty of it. You know, you watch a horror movie and it's like, you know that something's going to happen to the dog. Like, no, like you can, it's fine with the humans, but don't kill the dog. I think it kind of translates in tarot. You know, you don't want to see an animal being injured. And I thought he is being stabbed by 10 swords, but those beautiful butterflies are emerging from his wounds, and there's transformation and better things to come. So, but my dragon deck is the card is quite brutal in the dragon deck. I have this image of this dragon being stabbed. He's stabbed by 10 swords and he's bleeding, but he's laying on this vast piece of arid, dry, muddy, cracked land. And it sounds really brutal when I talk about it, but it's actually a really beautiful card. The blood kind of drips into those cracks, but from those cracks emerge these yellow vines that kind of cradle him, kind of like it's going to be okay. It's going to be so pretty, but I know.
Wow, that sounds like an intense image.
Yeah, if they have a problem with the 10 of swords, it's probably going to be worse for the dragon, but there's so much to the image that if you just kind of look past it and look at that imagery, it's all going to be okay, I promise. But I am the same. I don't like seeing animals killed, and as I kill off my dragons and my birds.
Right.
So, but I think it's going to be really beautiful.
I think so. I mean, this whole deck is just gorgeous. Even the stuff that's, a little hard for some people, it's still a beautiful image. So thanks. I trust you guys. And this one, I love this Temperance card here. The wand is just kind of smuggling her cups, and the waves are hitting her on one side, but she's just sleeping peacefully.
She's just keeping calm in the face of all of the awful things that are going on around her. And in your traditional card, you have one of her feet in the water and one of her feet on land. Right. That's why she's resting both on the rocks. And I kind of think of her little, would you call it little webbed feet?
Webbed feet?
Slippers? Yeah. I think of one being, like, even though you can't see it, you would know that one flipper is probably in the water and one is on those rocks. But she's just kind of, and it's that sense of balance as well. So she's like cradling those cups so they're secure and safe.
Well, and she's keeping them balanced even though the waves are crashing on her. So that talk about balance, right? Because in life, we always have those waves crashing on us, and being able to have that center where we're just balanced even though the waves are hitting us. That's what this is talking about for me, and I love it. And that's how I interpret this card more than most temperance cards. It's just that it is having that solid base of keeping your balance no matter what life throws at you. So
It's one of those cards that I think I need to harness a bit more, like become the swan, you know, and the world is crashing around you, just become the swan.
right.
And she's
Aloha, Selkie.
and that's another card that I struggle, you know, I forget what my original artwork description was, but I wasn't happy with it. And I just had this image of a swan coming into my mind, and I thought, well, what can I do with this? So it kind of transformed into something different. But I think everything kind of happens for a reason. So the changes in the deck were actually for the best.
There was one question. Oh, here we go. Amy asks, my favorite card is Judgment, which is the next card I was about to pull up. So perfect timing. I would love to hear your thoughts on this card.
Sure.
So, Amy, you couldn't have timed that more perfect because this was exactly what I was about to bring out. The Judgment card.
So there's your original sketch that I printed out. It's amazing what it becomes. So it's one of those cards, like, I kind of think of that angel in the Rider-Waite-Smith card as being, you know, that bird is that angel, and just kind of calling out to the people below, but they're kind of transforming into something else. So a lot of those gray butterflies turn into monarch butterflies. So as they enter the sky, they're kind of
morphing.
They're morphing into something different, even though they're kind of mixed up. But that was the idea behind it. And I'm not really a religious person, but I looked at the flag in the card, and I thought, well, I'd like to make her white, almost like it does feel very religious though. So she's this white bird, and she has this red cross across her breast, and but it was really just kind of sort of replicating what was in that original card. But what's really great about the deck and so many decks is how people read into it. And I think it's really great that people read into it in their own way, because that's, in my opinion, that's tarot should work for you. You know, you use it in the way that you see fit. And that's why I wanted it to be so intuitive. I didn't want there to be a right or wrong to the deck. I have keywords, but it doesn't mean that those are the only keywords, or it can't mean something else. It can mean so many things to so many different people. So it's really wonderful to hear the different interpretations of the cards. Like, I've watched walkthroughs, and I'm like, yes, I can do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I always consider these keywords as just a starting point, right? A jumping off point. So, but I understand how beginners would just go straight to the keywords and not think anything more. But, you know, as they learn, they expand.
Yeah. I think it does take time, you know, until you feel comfortable enough to add your own interpretations to the mix, because I think sometimes it's easy to follow a book or, you know, the guide cards until you feel more comfortable saying, no, this is how I see it, and feeling comfortable enough in your own skin to feel that, you know, to feel that way and say that. So my mother read, when I was growing up, she always read the cards for family and friends. It was a Marseille, I can't decide. Marseille. And I remember not really, that was the only kind of tarot that I knew, but she always used the book with hers, you know, and that's, you know, she chose to follow the meanings that were in the book, and that's okay. But you can also add your own little mix on the cards, which is really cool.
Well, and these cards are so very intuitive for me anyway. The Hierophant right here is gorgeous. I love this Hierophant.
It's a little wise owl. I thought perfect for the Hierophant.
Right.
Let me see if I can have it in here. But originally, you know how in the Rider-Waite-Smith card, there's the two guys at the bottom. I feel like those are his followers, congregation. So originally, I wanted to have little owlets with him, but it just didn't feel quite right. So this is kind of how the original sketch started, with little owls, but it just didn't feel quite to me. I wanted it to feel a bit more I didn't want it to be as obvious. So then it changed what you have there. And he has this little key, like his key to knowledge, and he's giving you
a compass.
Exactly. And it's one of the very few human elements that appear in the deck is this old wooden fence. But I just thought it fit so perfectly, and directions play a big part in the deck as well. So
And is that a scepter here?
yes, kind of like the one that he's holding in the card. It was, I think it might have been green in the card. I can't remember if I made it green in our deck, but yeah, there was a scepter in it.
No, it's gold.
Yeah.
Well, I love how you have he's holding the key to the lock that's right there.
Yes.
So, right.
Aw.
That's so awesome. I just noticed Simon. Wait, where did Simon's question go? The chat has been going, so I lost it. Ooh, I am not finding it. Well, yeah, he was asking how you come up with ideas, I believe. So let me see if I can't find it. It skipped out on me here. I know it's here somewhere. There it is. Did you sketch your idea out first before sharing with the artist?
You're a naughty latecomer. So basically what I do is all of my artwork descriptions are like little short stories in a way, little paragraphs. So I come up with an idea, and I acquired so many nature books as I was creating the deck because I just wanted to learn as much as I possibly could. But a lot of my inspiration comes from the Lake District. I love the Lake District. It's this area of England that is just rolling hills. And Simon would know. That is Simon who asked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So Lake District. It's my absolute favorite place to go. We had plans going to the Lake District, and then the C word happens. But I get like a lot of inspiration from just looking at a tree or a moss or on one of our long walks. And then, I just try to learn about the animals that live. And I have nature all around me here as well, because I live in Home Firth, which is northwest England. I'm still American, so but the north, and it's just snapping lots of photos and getting yourself into the mindset of, if I were this animal, what would I be doing? Like, for example, I have a friend, and I will, like when I was writing the dragon deck, I would say, if you were a dragon and you had to do this, how would you be doing it? Or what like for the 7 of Cups, I'd say, what would you be hoarding? What would you try to be choosing? What are the things that you would try to choose between if you were a dragon? She's like, some gold. Dragons hoard gold. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So it just kind of getting into the brain of these animals. I'm like, what if I was this owl? Where would I be? What would the tree look like? So the artwork descriptions, I try to be as descriptive as possible, as far as like even the direction that they're sitting. Sometimes I won't have a preference for how, like, what direction an animal might be facing. Sometimes I will have a preference, and that might have some meaning to it. But I think that was a long-winded response. I don't even think.
No, it's okay. Perfect.
Like my favorite
segues.
My husband, his father passed away just over a year ago, and had this collection of books and this really beautiful.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Book of British birds. It's Reader's Digest. And when I was thinking about, it's divided into the areas that you would find them, like woodland, moorland, seaside, and it's just kind of studying them and gaining a bit of inspiration.
That's gorgeous.
And it's in near perfect condition for as old as it is. So I absolutely love that.
Speaking of birds,
yeah.
This is the next card, the High Priestess.
Yeah, the High Priestess. So those flowers that are hanging from that tree trunk, the that she's sitting on. I kind of thought
the veil, right?
What's that?
Is it the veil?
Yeah, Yeah, it's what she's wearing. I thought, oh, that would be really beautiful. And her crown is the kind of it was very very well in this deck. It's very natural. So I tried to make that symbolize what you saw in the card. And she still has her scroll, and she's wearing that compass again. And the capsules. Like originally she was going to be perched on the moon, but I thought it would look a bit too fantasy-like, so she wound up being on a branch.
On the branch. And for those of you who didn't see, these are the blue flowers that represent her gown that's supposed to turn into water, right?
And yes, and kestrels, they're known for having great instincts, and I find that the high priestess, she looks so graceful, and that kestrel just looks very very graceful. So I thought it was perfect.
I love this high priestess.
It's so pretty. And it was one of the first cards that Adam illustrated for me. So excited about it.
I love that.
Yeah.
So these two I actually like to look at together, and that is the world, or the Fool and the World. Because the way I saw it when I first looked through the deck was, here's the Fool, and then here's the Fool grown up trying to give the world to their baby, which is the next Fool, right?
Yes, and originally, that when I watched the walkthrough and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is the Fawn grown up, but that's really the Emperor, and the Fool is still quite young." It actually makes more sense for the Fool to be that grown up stag. So it's again another one of those. Oh, the person saw it in a way that I wish that I saw it. But you can again, even though my Fool is still that young little deer,
young one. Right.
It could be that stag easily.
So this is what in your mind when you made it was the Emperor.
Yes.
Bringing the world to the Fool. Okay.
And the Fool, and it's one of those cards where it really I found it not my interpretation, but how it wound up looking was very different from the World card in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. But again, I thought it made sense for the deck. So like in your dragon deck, it's going to actually be like a tree that's actually come alive, and it's kind of the branches are up and over the dragon's head, and the world is nesting, and it's like the tree is handing the world to the Fool. So the theme is going to kind of carry throughout, but still be its own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Be a sister deck, right?
It is a sister deck. And struggle with the fonts. I think that was probably one of my first interactions with Simon. I don't know if Simon remembers, but I joined the Hermit's Cave, and I think at that point I was struggling with my font choice for Oak, Ash, and Thorn, and asking people, I'm like, do you like this font or this font? I'm really indecisive. I took a really long time to decide on what fonts I wanted to use. I originally wanted Adam to hand draw hand write the cards, but we just decided to go a different route. But the font that I found, it's called Beth Ellen, and I read up on it, and it's actually a font that was her mother's, the person who published this font online, which is free for use. It was her mother's handwriting, and I think her mother died of cancer. And I thought, special fonts. I thought, oh my goodness, I have to have that in my. It felt really special at the time. So I'm like, Beth Ellen it is, and I managed to convince Adam because he wasn't sure at the time, and he came up with the idea of, I don't know if you noticed in the card. Yes, Simon, good, you remember. The words at the bottom of each card are not all the same color. They kind of blend in. So we've picked out a color from that card, so it stands out, but it doesn't take over the card.
Right.
So like your Fool.
Or here, the Four of Cups.
Yeah, they're all slightly different, but your Magician, you have this. You see how it's like that deep purpley color.
Oh, deep purple. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Four of Cups is kind of green, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and that was Adam doing. He's like, how about we match the colors to the card? I thought, yeah, that's a good idea.
That is brilliant. I didn't even notice. Yeah. I'm really observant usually. Wow.
The
Okay.
same thing for the next deck. So now you remember it.
Definitely. I'm going to keep an eye out for that for the next deck for sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Four of Cups, this is probably one of my favorite Four of Cup cards ever, with that little angry squirrel.
That was little like noses up in the air. He's like, no, I don't want what you're handing to me. No, thank you. I always look at the Rider-Waite-Smith card as he's just refused. He's flat out refusing that cup. Like, no, I'm good. Take your hands away. So I wanted to kind of have the insects, the little butterflies and the ladybugs presenting the cups to the squirrel. But he's so stubborn.
Like, hey, come on, look. And even the butterflies like, turn around.
Yeah. And it's almost like, I want to be your friend. Take these cups. It's going to make your life easier. No.
No, I'm just going to sit here and sulk.
It's like me being stubborn with my husband. Like, I'll be in a bad mood about something. I'm like I was saying earlier, I sometimes get caught up in my head, and my husband will be like, here, have this. I'm like, no, I don't want it. I can't. No, go away. I'm just trying to help, but So he's really, really cute. Oh, and the squirrels. Interesting thing about the squirrels. So originally the cup suit was going to be a suit of geese. It was going to be a geese suit.
Geese. Wow.
I read this, and I'm not 100%, but I read a story about geese, about how they really bond to each other. And I thought, well, it's a heartfelt suit, maybe geese. But geese can be known for being quite, like, you don't want to mess with geese sometimes. So Adam's like, well, why don't we make them Adam's like, well, why don't we make them into squirrels? And at that time, I was like, can I do that? Because I think of the cups as a water element. Can I do that? Would it make sense? And then I came across this article on gray squirrels. In the UK, gray squirrels are seen as pests. They carry squirrel pox, which has been known to kill off the red squirrels.
Oh, wow.
Depleting a population. And so there's a lot of people who just don't like the gray squirrels. And the article was in defense of gray squirrels. Like, well, it's not their fault that they were imported in the 19th century to England. It's not their fault. They didn't choose that. And they compete for food. Not that they compete, but gray squirrels are just better at gathering food than the reds are. Right. So I thought, okay, right, this works. In our squirrel suit, it's going to be grays and reds in harmony. I think of this heartfelt, loving type suit. So that's how we decided on the squirrels. It started off with Adam saying, why don't we do squirrels? I'm like, oh, I just read this article. Let's do grays and reds together. And that will be this beautiful, loving suit that it needs to be. So from there on, he's like, right, okay. And I just rewrote all of my artwork descriptions and made them fit. And it's, I think, one of my favorite suits.
I love the squirrels. I gotta say, they're my favorites too. Even though I'm really a bird person, I'm all about crows and ravens, so the swords are very important to me too. And
I'm a Burrows. My last name is Burrows, so I have rabbits all over the house. So you think that my favorite suit in this deck would be the pentacles, and I do, I love it, but I think it's definitely the squirrels for me, even though I'm more of a swords kind of person.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and the hermit. I love this hermit, little hedgehog. You get the staff, and then you have the lightning bug as his lantern, right?
Exactly. And I know that, like, how is he going to carry that little staff? But it's a made up little world. But I love how the little path winds deep into the forest, and you have this little fireflies kind of lighting his way, and like it's going to be okay. And it definitely has that feeling of, I'm going to take some time out for myself and just think about things for a bit. But he kind of has his friends along the way and his support. It's just so cute. And hedgehogs, it's kind of like, I'm from New York originally, but I moved to Florida back in '95, and I've been here for 7 years now. I'm here permanently. And it was like manatees. Everyone saw manatees, like in the flesh manatees. And I thought, I've never actually seen a manatee in person. I'm never lucky enough to see a manatee. It's the same thing with hedgehogs here. Everyone's like, I've seen hedgehogs. They're so cute. I'm like, well, I haven't actually seen one in real life. So they're like unicorns to me.
I love that.
So hedgehogs, I mean, they're active at night, and they're kind of they're solitary creatures. I thought that would be the perfect fit for the hermit card.
And I can't believe we've been talking for 45 minutes already.
I know it doesn't feel like 45 minutes, does it?
I don't feel like it. The other thing I want to touch bases on real quick is how you very adamantly want it to be eco-friendly, like a zero footprint kind of print job. And
Yes.
that's why you're not interested in going mass market with your deck. Is that correct?
And nothing against mass market decks, but it's my deck, and I feel like I don't want to give up that control of it. And you don't really have, as far as I know, you don't really have the eco friendliness, and like they're and there's nothing wrong with them being printed in China, but that's like such a big carbon footprint, even though I know that I send decks all over the world. So but you gotta, I guess it's just it's
you
hard.
Minimize what you're doing.
Yeah, I like to keep it close, and I like dealing with people myself. You know, I work from home. This is what I do now, and I like dealing with people. I kind of feel like when someone messages me on Instagram or they email me, I'm like, yay, outside contact with the world. And everyone's been really lovely and nice. And I like sending out the decks, and I like packing them up beautifully. And, you know, I take a lot of goes into those decks, because I'm going to carry that all the way through. And I know this is probably not making any sense, but I don't want to give up control of my decks. And
no, I get it. They're your babies.
Yeah. And I don't want to get them printed halfway across the world. I want to keep that carbon footprint really, really low. And I am always trying to improve upon the packaging and see what I can do better. I think my boxes that I send out single decks in, I get from a company in England called Priory Direct, and they do this like 5-leaf system. One is for like carbon neutral, so you get a leaf if it's carbon neutral, sustainable, biodegradable. So if you get if they advertise a product on their website, if a box has 5 leaves, it's as eco-friendly as I could possibly find it. And my boxes for my 2 decks, I've got new boxes for them that are those 5 leaves as well. But I try to source really locally. You know, I try to order things together. So if I'm going to order 4 different items, I try to order them around the same time, so they all go in the same shipment, so I'm not having multiple shipments. It's really, really complicated, and I know that I'm probably not like going to make a huge dent, or, you know, it's just me. But I kind of feel like I'm doing my bit. But I don't expect anyone else to do it. I never want it to feel like I'm forcing the eco aspect on people. Like,
right.
You know, you should do this. I don't intend that at all. I like it just to kind of come that way, you know?
So all the decks are shipping directly from your house, basically.
Yeah. So the printer is in Brighton, which is, I think, about 4 hours south of me. So they're printed. I consider that local, and they deliver them to my house, and I just ship everything from here, which is I love packaging. I'm like a packaging nerd. Like, I have seasonal packaging now. Like my decks are going out in the same hair tissue paper, but there's like this, like the second layer of tissue paper is green, and I have like little like flower shaped confetti and everything in it, and everything's like made from recycled materials. It's just, I geek out on packaging, I guess.
I love the package when I got it.
It's a reflection of the deck and of me, and I want people to feel like when they're opening up their box, like they see the hair packing tape, and they open it up, and it's just, I want it to make them smile. You know, I want it to be a good experience.
Right.
So. Well,
I mean, that was from when I got the Kickstarter box. I was like, I opened it, and I was very impressed by that packaging.
Oh.
So, and the more I opened it, and the more I saw how like like all the packaging was talking about how, printed by Generation Press, carbon neutral, solar power, vegetable based inks, and all that stuff. I was like, oh my God, why doesn't everybody do this?
And they plant so many trees a year as well, which is pretty cool. 2 of their presses are operated by solar power, and they're constantly expanding their, what they have there, so they can offer me a bit more of a selection, but it's still eco-friendly. I love that it's veggie-based inks, and they're really nice. And they've, being a first-time deck creator, I mean, everything was so new, so I must have asked a million questions, and they were so patient the whole way through, even though I know I would annoy myself. But they really are like, and now it's like I have this working relationship with them where printing the next deck, we know exactly what to do. Like, we know what paper it's getting printed on. We know what the boxes are going to look like. I was really nervous about the paper, 400 GSM, and not everyone likes 400 GSM, but it felt really flexible. So I thought,
it's a breeze to shuffle this deck. It's one of my favorite shufflers, truthfully. So,
but it could have gone the opposite way. It might not have been that, because I mean, especially when you're using a printer here, like if you use some of the creators are using, I think they can get a hold of samples a bit more easy. But with me, I was kind of just, right, okay, they sent me one big piece of paper, and I kind of got a feel for what the paper would feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So it could have gone horribly wrong. I thought either people are really going to love the paper, or they're going to really hate the paper. But at least they'll have an idea of what to do next. So to not have to change up my paper for the next deck is wonderful. And I just really love it. It's worked out.
This is one of my favorite decks as far as like paper quality goes.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of my favorite cardstocks. It's easy to shuffle, and I like how thick it is too. Like, it's gonna be a nice quality deck that lasts a long time. So I appreciate
it's a deck that's a bit more on the expensive side, but I hoped that the quality would show through, and all the things that went behind it. And, people just really into shuffling it. It's just wonderful that I got that right. The tuck box needed improving, and that comes with seeing what works and what doesn't. So, yeah.
I don't know. I like this tuck box. Although every time I pull it out, someone's like, "Is that soap?"
I think I was in one of your lives, and someone mentioned that, and now I can't get the soap thing out of my mind. I'm like, but that's really pretty soap packaging.
It is. It's like a high-end soap.
But you know what? I think I must have proofread everything, and on my box, I'm like, darn it, there's an extra 2. There's an extra 2 on the back of my. Did you notice?
Oh yeah, 2-2.
Yeah. And I have this I'm in this Instagram group with some really supportive friends, and they're like, no, that's not as bad as you think. It will distinguish it from the rest. It makes it more collectible. I'm like, okay, but me being the perfectionist, I'm like, no, it's an extra 2. It should be perfect. But I missed it, but it gives
that's okay. Like they said, that kind of like little mistake is what makes a deck worth even more down the line.
Oh.
Yeah.
People weren't upset. That's good.
I didn't even notice until you pointed it out to me.
Yeah, I think I posted on Instagram a while back, and someone's like, "There's an extra 2 there. Did you know?" I'm like, yeah.
I think I was so interested in seeing the deck itself that I just kind of glanced over the wording. I wasn't like going over the fine-tooth comb or anything like that. So.
I think I had a lot of fun when I was trying to decide the colors for the box. There's a post on my Instagram where I have all these different paper swatches laid out. I'm like, oh, that's such a pretty picture. It was fun. But I have to say, the box aspect, designing the box and deciding on the box, I hated it.
You hated it. Okay.
I'm a perfectionist, and I was like, how on earth do I do this? Like what I know what font I'm going to use, but do I make this bigger? Like I'll move something. If you've ever used Photoshop before or any kind of editing software, like you can adjust you can move a line of words, 1, 2, 3, and I'll stress it out. Should I move it one more to the left or one more to the right? And you feel really silly, like you hate your OCD at that point. Like, do I really need to?
Right.
When you're trying to decide on a paint color, I'm sure that many of you who want to like add a new coat of paint to your walls stand in front of that huge swatch, all the paint chips at your local hardware store, and you can't decide, and you're choosing between like 3 shades of green that are nearly identical. That's what it felt like designing the box.
I get that. Yeah, I'm a perfectionist like that too.
Oh my God. I haven't really been reading the chat, so if anyone's coming
That's okay. Deanne says 10 years from now I'll be like in search of oat with extra 2. I need it.
Yes. Never know.
So do you have the ETA for your smoke, ash, and embers yet?
I don't, but we're halfway through the artwork. I am hoping that it will be pre-orders opening up before the end of the year to ship them out first part of 2022. Ideally, I wanted it to be sooner. Adam has I think two or three small children at home, and with COVID and such, it's been, I'm sure, very difficult for him. And he's in the middle of shipping out his mushroom garden book. So he's been doing a lot of packing, and so things have been pushed back a bit. But that's perfectly okay. I have no idea how you parents do it, having little kids in the house and having to multitask. Like, how on earth do you do it? Yeah, it is. So I'm hoping that pre-orders before the end of the year. It most likely won't be holiday shipping.
Fall, you think, is when you'll start opening pre-orders?
I think so. So the pre-orders will be for 30 days. Well, they'll be open longer than 30 days, but the 30 days with the early bird pricing, that will be like my equivalent of the Kickstarter. So it helps me figure out how many I need to order. So once those 30 days are up, then I will submit my files to the printer, and it's basically all the same. It'll be the same paper. I quite like the new box, so most likely it'll stay as that tuck box, which is very easy to open and is a bit more solid, I think. So I'm thinking it'll probably be like, don't hold me to it because it could change, even though I wish I can get them out the door right now. I would think probably February I would start shipping, but that's how I'm going to do it, is the pre-orders. And I am excited because, like I know I mentioned before, not doing a Kickstarter, you don't have to pay all those fees. So it gives me the opportunity to offer that early bird pricing for a longer period of time. So,
right.
And people aren't feeling pressured. Like, they're not like, oh, I have to get on and within 3 days and order this at special early bird pricing because there's only so many. Whereas I'll do it for a full 30 days, which would be good. I think it'd be really good.
And you're also, in 2022, you're also going to be putting out an Oracle, right?
Yeah, I'm working on it now. It's going to be, it's kind of like a see, oracles, I have a few oracles. I think of them as like this one would clarify a question. So you could use it on its own, or you can use it in conjunction with any of our decks or any other deck, to be honest. So it's going to have like each card would have a different word, like caution or rest or something like that, or silver linings, and the imagery in that card would reflect that word. So like if you do a tarot card reading and you want to clarify your tarot card reading a bit more, like, should I leave my job to pursue this other job? My husband's just peeking his head in with my dog. You want to say hello? Oh, he wants to say hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, hi, little one.
I'll go watch them out.
Okay, so it's an oracle deck that's supposed to clarify your tarot card readings, and it will be in the style of Oak, Ash, and Thorn and Smoke, Ash, and Ember. So it'll have your dragons, it'll have your creatures, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what size I want to make it. I thought maybe like a I don't know, a playing card size, but I talked to some people who said no, make it tarot card sized. But so that's kind of up in the air, but that's going to be really pretty. So it'll be like a 25 to 40 card oracle deck that I'm working on.
Okay.
Be really pretty.
And then what will you have an idea of what volume 3 is going to be?
It's going to be a water-based deck. Water-based deck.
Nice.
Well, originally it was going to be an ocean-themed deck, but instead I've decided to make the suits be a different body of water. So like, you would have like a suit that would be the ocean. You would have a suit that would be a lake. You would have a suit that would be a stream, something like that. It's very much in my head, but it's the next deck that I'll be working on. And I thought what would be great about that is I can incorporate more types of animals. So right now it's very all of my decks are very woodland based. So when I was driving through the Lake District, it was pouring down rain, and there was this very windy road, like leading into Windermere, which is this main part of the Lake District, like a town, like it's quite a big town. And you'd be driving through this windy road, through these hills and valleys, and you'd have like streams of water, like running down the hillside, and you'd have sheep and everything mixed, like different, like the sheep. So I thought, oh, how great is that? So I could have like my like my sheep and like countryside life, which would be really great to mix in. And there's a few things I'm thinking about to make it different as well. But it's going to be my trilogy. It'll complete the trilogy. It'll be my water-based deck. So
Nice.
I think
I could see swords being clouds.
Mm.
Water. Mm-hmm.
And Adam, like I'll hold on to Adam as long as he wants to keep illustrating for me, but he's on board with it, and I'm really excited. I don't think I could have anyone else illustrate my decks. He's just really his artwork makes Oak, Ash, and Thorn and Smoke, Ash, and Embers.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's the thing, even Simon was talking about, it's like when you are singing the praises of a deck, don't forget to sing the praises of the artist, because without the artist, there wouldn't be a deck.
Exactly. So, I wish I had his talent. He's just insanely talented. Like I'll tell him something like, can you do this? And he'll just magically like illustrate it. Like, how do you do that? How? But he has his own.
Your practice until it's second nature, right? Let's pull some cards because we are at the hour. Yes, Jamie Kelly just got that and sent me some pictures, and it is gorgeous.
It's so pretty. My goodness. I got it. I was floored. I'm like, it's even more amazing than it looked like online.
So I'm going to pull a quick set of cards, 3 cards, just for the remainder of the week as a group reading, because we ran out of time for doing readings at this point. That's okay. This was so enthralling that no one really cares that we didn't get to the readings, because we want to hear more from you. So it's kind of interesting here because we get 7 of Cups, followed by the Chariot, followed by the 9 of Cups. So this is telling me that we have choices to make, right? And once we make our choice, we have to head straight for that choice, which will bring happiness and rest. So this week, be mindful of your choices. And when you do make that choice, don't hesitate. Head straight for it, because that is where your wish is fulfilled.
Aww.
That's a great message for the rest of the week. And it kind of correlates with what you were talking about, how like choosing about like what deck you're going to make and how you're going to make it and that kind of stuff. So there's the choices. Yes. And then here you are making it. And now here you are after Oak, Ash, and Thorn has been printed.
It's Cute little squirrel, isn't it?
So thank you. And if anyone has any last minute questions, throw them up all caps right now. Otherwise, we will say goodbye to Stephanie because it's, what time is it there?
It is 8 p.m.
8 p.m. and it's 9 a.m. here. So.
Soon it will be that time of the year, like when I moved over 7 years ago. I couldn't get used to the fact that there was still light out at 10 p.m. Not sunshine, but it was still light out at 10 p.m. And I mean, I lived in Florida for so long. I think the latest it stayed light out until about 8:45. But 10 p.m. to see light out, it was just like, what's happening?
I went to Ireland for a summer abroad one year, and it was, God, it was a long time ago now, 1998. But I remember that, like, we were there in summer, and like we were out at some pub, and it was still light out because we were like out on the outside patio. And I'm like, oh, it's only like what, 8? And someone's like, no, actually, it's 11:30. I'm like, how is it still light out?
Nuts, isn't it? I wanted to get to Hawaii before, the whole COVID thing happened. I turned 40 in September, and my dream vacation would have been to go to Hawaii. I can't go
When's
now.
your birthday?
September 22nd.
September 22nd. September 7th here.
Yeah. I'm on the cusp.
Yeah,
I'm on the cusp. My mother's on the cusp. My father was on the cusp. I'm on the cusp of like Virgo and something else. Like September 22nd, I think is
Virgo and Libra.
Yeah.
There's that perfectionism in you, because I'm a Virgo with Libra moon, and I have that same indecisive perfectionist tendency. So
I guess sometimes it can work to your benefit, but it's so annoying. It can be so annoying.
Know, right?
Yeah.
It's more annoying for others, I think. Just make a decision already. Yeah. So if you just want to wait one moment, Stephanie, thank you, everybody. Next week, I will be welcoming Julie Kusha Watts to talk about the Ancestral Path Tarot. So come back next week if you want to learn more. And until next time, everybody, aloha.